Hey everyone, this is Turd Flinging Monkey. We're going to start a new series, kind of like a book club. We're going to read Sun Tzu's The Art of War, specifically the Sanshi Group translation, which is available online. I'll provide a link in the description. And rather than just me monologuing for this series and then having people give me feedback in the comments and then me doing follow-up videos, I'm doing this from the mosh pit on my Discord server so I can get real-time feedback. So we have a lot of people here. So, if you have a question, if you want to elaborate, if you want to talk about something specific related to what we're talking about, just go ahead and speak up. So this, it's like a book club meeting. We're going to talk about this book. So has anybody read Sun Tzu's The Art of War before?
Well, I've heard of it.
I just know of some quotes. That's about it.
Yep. It's really not that long. In fact, if you actually buy a copy of The Art of War, it's like you can read it in less than an hour. A lot of the books you'll find have a lot of commentary to pad out the length, because without the commentary, it's really not that long. All right, so we're just going to do one chapter per day because there's a lot that can be gleaned even from a very short bit from this book. And this book is 2,500 years old. It is an old book from ancient China.
Hey, watch out for the copyright, though.
I'm pretty sure it's not copyrighted. I mean, the translation might be, but I'm adding commentary, so hashtag fair use. Anyway, starting with Chapter 1, Calculations. It says, warfare is important to a nation. It is a matter of life and death. It is the way to survival or to destruction, so study it. So, obviously, this is important shit. Like, really important shit. You talk about war, there's a reason why business leaders and politicians are told to read The Art of War. The principles of warfare, you could just replace bullets with memes. The great meme war. So all warfare isn't necessarily physical. So this is why it's such a very well-read book that's been translated, retranslated, and spread for so long. Study the 5 factors of warfare: way, heaven, ground, general, and law. Calculate your strength in each and compare them to your enemy's strengths. The way is a strong bond your people have with you, whether they face certain death or hope to come out alive. They never worry about danger or betrayal. Heaven is dark and light, hot and cold, and the seasonal constraints. Ground is high and low, far and near, obstructed and easy, wide and narrow, and dangerous and safe. General is wise, trustworthy, benevolent, brave, and disciplined. Law is organization, the chain of command, logistics, and control of expenses. So let's back up. Let's talk about each one of these individually. So what they call the way, insert Ugandan Knuckles joke, is the bond that the people and the leader and the nation have with each other, as basically they feel like they belong. It's their identity. This goes directly to in the face of diversity as our strength. I mean, we're only on the first chapter. The key to having a strong way, again, it says, the way is the strong bond your people have with you. Whether they face certain death or hope to come out alive, they never worry about danger or betrayal. This requires unity. Having diversity directly interferes with this. Directly, because if you have all these different... Now, I'm not talking about racial diversity. I mean, I don't give a shit what color your skin is. But if we don't speak the same language, if we have completely different cultures, if we have completely different belief systems, completely different principles, ideologies, motives, values, we have nothing in common. I mean, we could be the same color. We could be the same race. We could look like twins. But if we have nothing else in common, I don't give a shit. YouTube has no sense of identity. Like, if you say you're a YouTuber, it means nothing. Who gives a shit? YouTubers come in every flavor imaginable. There's no united anything to be a YouTuber. It's just a platform. And that's the point. So imagine if, this is going to make people laugh. Imagine if Susan Wojcicki, or whatever the fuck her name is, she decided to, call for all YouTubers to unite for something for the sake of YouTube. I would tell her to go fuck herself, and I think most YouTubers would tell her to go fuck herself because they have no loyalty to YouTube. Even though they are YouTubers, it's just a platform. Everything is about knowing yourself and knowing your enemy. We're not at that spot yet, but we'll get there. But you look at the opponent you're facing, whether it's a business deal, whether it's an organization, whether it's a political thing, or whether it's an actual war. Does your opponent Do they have the way? Are the people on your opponent's side, do they have a strong bond that they're willing to face certain death and they don't care about danger or betrayal? They are united. And then you look at your side. Do you have a common bond? Are you willing to face death for this organization, this group that you belong to, if need be? Maybe not in business or organization, but I'm talking in war. So you look at who has the advantage there. Then look at, the heaven and earth part, not really that important. Your leaders, is the general wise, trustworthy, benevolent, brave, and disciplined? Are your leaders competent? Are they wise? Are they benevolent? Are they brave? Are they disciplined? Do they know what the fuck they're doing? Or are they pieces of shit that don't know anything and you have no faith in them? And then the last one, I would argue, is the least significant. This is the organization, chain of command, logistics, and control of expenses. So let's use a real life example. Let's look at Western countries versus Islam. Okay, let's just put all of that on the table. So, who has the advantage when it comes to the way? Do Western countries or Islam have the advantage?
Islam. Islam.
Yeah. Hands down. Hands down, Islam has the advantage. Especially Western civilization can't stop beating it down its own men, who are the very men that's going to rely on to defend them. And all they can do is shit on them and emasculate them and tell them they're toxic and racist and sexist. They just can't help it. So Islam absolutely has an advantage when it comes to the way. As far as the heaven and earth and whatever, who cares? Honestly, it doesn't matter. Now, leaders, the general being wise, trustworthy, benevolent, brave, and disciplined. Do Western countries have competent leaders?
Not really.
Not really. I mean, Trump's pretty good. I've actually been kind of impressed by Trump lately. But you look at like Justin Trudeau, Theresa May, Angela Merkel. It's a horror show. But then you look at Eastern Europe, they seem to not be completely fucking retarded.
Poland doesn't give no fucks.
I like Mattis.
Just look at the defense minister of fucking Poland.
there's-
The guy looks intimidating as hell.
There's absolutely no sense of unity in Western society. When it comes to the military, at least, there's no unity at all.
Well, there's no unity in Western society at all anywhere. Right. Because the whole point of Western civilization is, we're all diverse, we all do whatever. And in fact, people come to America, for example, they don't want to be American. They'll come to America and they'll wave their Mexican flag and they'll refuse to learn English. They just come to America to work because the jobs are here.
For the benefits.
Right, or they want to go on welfare. They don't give the single shit about the country. They just want to benefit from the welfare programs and the jobs because they pay higher than in Mexico or wherever they came from. So you can't rely on them to defend your society when it's under attack because they don't care. They never did. If you look at all things being equal, this isn't a big blowout victory for Western civilization. And the main vulnerability of Western civilization is the absolute lack of unity or any sort of commonality between its citizens where they would actually give a fucking shit about their own countries. And this is coming from someone who was in the military and served 2 tours in Iraq. I don't give a shit because since then I've realized that America fucking hates me. It doesn't give a shit that I fought for it.
One question about the topic, TFN. So why is like the government or all these organizations making people to not identify with the country, to lose their identity,
Right. Oh well, it's a direct consequence of empowering women. When you empower women, you destroy your fertility rate, and so they have to. I mean, I've done videos on this. They have to import immigrants. And not just a little bit. Like, I saw a feminist article today talking about, if you want more babies, you need less patriarchy. Complete 180 degrees from right. But they were arguing that countries like Sweden and France have a higher fertility rate than other Western countries because they're very egalitarian and very feminist. Sweden and France have the loosest immigration policies in Europe. That is the only thing keeping their... It's basically they're importing Africa and the Middle East in mass And this feminist is trying to use that as justification of, oh, feminism is the answer. Feminism raises your fertility rate. But the native population isn't having kids. It's the immigrants having kids. And if you look at the crime and the terrorism in France and Sweden, yeah, that's fucking retarded. But of course she's a feminist. She doesn't know shit. But the thing is you can't empower women and have a sustainable society. It's impossible. So you have to open the floodgates of immigration, and then you're basically importing a new culture to replace you. So you've destroyed unity. You can't, like, actions have consequences. Egalitarianism and feminism are suicide. So this is a natural this lack of unity, all this cultural diversity, which has destroyed any sense of patriotism, is a direct consequence of empowering women. It's inevitable. You can't empower women. I mean, you look at Japan. Japan's actually trying to do it the opposite way. They've empowered their women, and their fertility rate is dog shit, and they're dying, but they're not opening their floodgates to immigration. But their country is dying. Like, the rural areas are being depopulated as people move into the cities because nobody's having kids. So even though they haven't opened up the floodgates and they don't have terrorism and everything, which is great, I'd much rather live in Japan than Sweden or France. But the problem is, in the long run, they're still fucked. There is no alternative. You have to take women's rights away, or your society is fucked. If you empower them to go have careers, they're not home raising kids. They're not having kids. Because women can't be in two places at once, you have to pick one. Do you want to empower women to go have careers and play, corporate ladder, or do you want them to have kids? You can only pick one. They can't do both. They just can't. That's okay. Next section says, every general has heard of these 5 factors: way, heaven, ground, general law. One who heeds them will be victorious. One who does not heed them will not be victorious. Therefore, calculate and compare your levels of strength in them, way, heaven, ground, general law, to your enemies, and determine whether you are superior. Ask, which ruler has the way? Which general has the ability? Which has advantage in heaven and ground? Which implemented law? Which army is resilient? Which officers and soldiers are trained? Which rewards and punishes clearly? By asking these types of questions, I know who will win and who will lose. A general who listens to my principles and applies them will surely be victorious. Keep him. A general who does not listen to my principles and does not apply them will surely be defeated. Remove him. Look for advantages when applying my principles, and you will gather sufficient force to take on unforeseen situations. Force is tilting the balance of power to your side by gathering advantages. Warfare is the way of deception. This is kind of transitioning. Therefore, if able, appear unable. If active, appear inactive. If near, appear far. If far, appear near. If your enemies have advantage, bait them. If they are confused, capture them. If they are numerous, prepare for them. If they are strong, avoid them. If they are angry, disturb them. If they are humble, make them haughty. If they are relaxed, toil them. If they are united, separate them. Attack where your enemies are not prepared. Go to where they do not expect. This strategy leads to victory in warfare, so do not let the enemy see it. Before doing battle, one calculates in the temple and will win, because many calculations were made before doing battle. One calculates in the temple, but will lose because few calculations were made. Many calculations mean victory. Few calculations mean no victory. Then how much worse when there are no calculations? From this perspective, I can clearly predict victory or defeat. So this whole section is basically saying you need to plan. There's a saying, like, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And the thing is this, the main reason I'm doing this series is because people are like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, you talk about this stuff, taking women's rights away and so forth, but what are you doing? You're just making YouTube videos. It says, if your enemies have advantages, bait them. If they are confused, capture them. If they are numerous, prepare for them. If they are strong, avoid them. If they are angry, disturb them. If they are humble, make them haughty. If they are relaxed, toil them. If they are united, separate them. That's basically where we are right now. We're in the deception stage. The people who basically are the problem are far too powerful and far too numerous for anyone to do anything about. According to Sun Tzu, if they are numerous, prepare for them. That's what you should be doing. If the enemy is strong, avoid them. So I mean, I demonstrate this. You know, I use basically the weapons of the enemy against them. You know, out crazy them. I don't do bullshit like I'm a fucking attack helicopter and here's my Kekistan flag. No, you don't make fun of the weapons of the enemy. You use the weapons of the enemy. Like I saw a tweet today where people are you know they're at these rallies with their UK flags and it's like they're fascists. So I just put in the comment, start bringing communist flags to these rallies. That's what you do. You have to think. How do you take the advantage away from your enemy? Your enemy has the media, the government, the police, the courts, more than half the population, and all the money. If you think a direct conflict is a good idea, you're fucking stupid. But if you think it's impossible, you're also stupid. Because the enemy is not that smart, and they're not united at all, and they're very easily tricked. You have to think smart, and you can't fight directly. And this the main thing you need to do. This is the thing. Sun Tzu, warfare is the way of deception. The main thing you have to do is you need to take whatever bullshit honor and my principles. You need to take that shit and you need to throw it as far away as you can. That shit will get you killed. Honor and principles in war will get you fucking killed. I've seen it happen personally. Who gives a shit about it? Look at, I'm going to use an example. When the American Revolution with the Founding Fathers, they did not fight honorably because they were outmanned and outgunned. They actually had a logistical disadvantage when fighting Britain. The reason why the Americans won the Revolutionary War is because they fought horribly dishonorably. They used guerrilla tactics that they learned from the Indians. Because when they were fighting the Native Americans, they were kept getting ambushed and killed and scalped and everything. They learned to fight like that and how to combat that. And the British, they were used to fighting Napoleonic tactics, where they all get in columns and they trade volleys, and everyone stands in a straight line, and nobody sneaks up on anyone. Nobody slits their throat in the middle of the night. Everybody's very honorable. And that's the Americans won because they exploited the British's honor.
We're being treated like that.
Exactly. That is the actual problem. There's only one solution.
And it may be final.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a peaceful version of the solution. Well, there's the same solution, but it's like, is it going to be the peaceful version or it's going to be the violent version? But the same solution.
I think it's going to be the
solution.
violence.
Well, then again, if it is going to be the violent solution, then what you do is you prepare. You don't fight the enemy now. And everyone is like, let's start a war against our government. No, you're fucked if you do. Like right now, not in 2018, like the surveillance state. I mean, they'll arrest you for a mean tweet, but just wait. Wait until the shit really hits the fan. It's going to happen. So just you prepare. No one's overthrowing shit. You have to let the cancer metastasize. Just like you tell someone, okay, we got to do this, and like, oh no, I don't want to. Oh, that's gonna hurt. Okay, fine. Come back later. Are you ready to do it? Nope. Okay, I'll come back later. Eventually, things are gonna be really bad, and they're gonna be like, okay, I guess we got to do that thing that you've been talking about. Okay, and then now they're on board, and maybe it's too late, maybe it isn't, and that we're actually gonna get into this next time when we talk about chapter 2. Basically literally the chapter 2 is called Doing Battle, and it talks about exactly how you should conduct war. And the way the West has been fighting wars is fucking terrible. Like, I don't understand, especially when you're a superpower fighting some pissant third world piece of shit. There's no justifiable reason why you don't just fucking steamroll the shit out of them in a day.
I was about to say, yeah, why haven't we?